Okay. Great. I will try and have another recording of the first part because some people need it. Okay. Let me just make a note. Somebody's writing something. Great. Okay. So let me move just for the volume and the colors. And this is a wonderful link. If we have time, we will see it together, but please visit because the costumes are amazing. And the costumes have all the material of this era and the colors and what they are actually using. So this is a museum of art, and I will try to, I think we will have some time to see it in the end, but if we don't, maybe the beginning of the next class. But their link is here, and I will send you all this, so you will see it. Sorry. Just try. Okay. So, and if we were to ask who is the designer directly connected to the corset, the crazy boy and guy of fashion, it would be Jean-Paul Gaultier. So he made so many different studies of the corset. You might, it's very related to the next century undergarments more, but the basis is here. And these are the, let's say, about 30, 40 years of Rococo, most characteristic. These are the forms. And sometimes in fashion, we have people doing things they don't think about. It happened with Dior also recently. So embroidery and blue and gold. And so Alexander McQueen did this. And he said that he was, so they accused him of being inspired, directly by a traditional costume. But even a traditional costume of the last 2 centuries, where would it be inspired from? So where was the origins? And if I knew this and I didn't know that, I would say, directly from Rococo. There's no other era. But anything to do with handmade techniques, embroidery, especially gold in traditional costumes, as you know, in all our cultures. I don't think there is one of our cultures that is not using gold embroidery. So inquiring, you get really far sometimes. So I'm so careful with changing. Right after Rococo, we are getting closer to us. So we're moving closer. So this is the 19th century. And this is an era at the beginning of the whole 19th century is the Romantic century. So it's Romanticism if it has to do with either costumes, painting, art, music. But some years at the beginning, here we are. We have a revival. We have a revival of Greece and Rome, you would say, in a totally different proportion. But of course, directly inspired from those ancient times, both in buildings, in art, and in fashion. So this is a famous painting. It's Madame de Recamier. You know, Recamier is this reclining chair. Not this one. It's more like a bed, like the Roman bed. But for some years, this was the fashion, meaning that they looked like ancient Rome. They looked a bit like just having their undergarments, but the most characteristic of this era was really high the waist here, just under the bust, just under here, and very small sleeves. And this is a modern costume, totally inspired by the era, as you can see. And moving on in the 18th century, the forms change. We will talk about this. And these are most of the characteristic sleeves here, going to the end of the century, like Victorian era. And black plus the sleeves was a very Victorian element. But then it can change and become something like this, very modern, very colorful, half of it at least. So it's a favorite era in general, in films, in theater, in costumes, very elegant again. And from the beginning of the century to the end, we have styles. As we're moving on in the centuries, styles will change much more. And of course, after 1900, you know, we won't say history of costume, we would say history of fashion. And then every 10 years, we need to study the styles. So look at how the, you know, short sleeves with gloves look here. And take care a bit of the attention from the Rococo. The men's pants, 1, 2, 3, are nice and tight and under the knee. And then they will be longer until almost today, we have to say, with a small pause at 1930s. And the top hat, it will appear even earlier. And the jackets, the dress jackets, it is until today. So this is a timeline for these years and this style. So another film of many years, a Napoleon film, of course, came out this year, a new one. But this is like a 3-hour film, and the styles and the costumes are exclusive. I'm always putting here what I believe you should see. And this is the style. He just wanted to be and to feel, and he regarded himself as an emperor. So all the styles from ancient Rome and some of Greece are here. So you can see it in the head a lot. Sorry. So you can see all the decoration of the hair and the feathers. And of course, going about in Netflix, we will talk again. It's the Bridgerton series, that the costumes are extremely like just now, some years ago, and they're very extravagant and even a bit more than they should, and lots of feathers everywhere. And there's wonderful articles, you know, explaining, because what did wonders in that film is that they were styled a bit like theater, meaning that each family, and according to their characters and according to how they behaved, they had specific colors and specific styles attributed to them. So that was the attention. Now, sorry, I need to say something. So this film, by the end, where the war ends, there's many, it's like the beginning of spaces, not that we never had them. Both men and women were in these big parties. They were like social clubs. They had characteristics, a lot of the later cabaret, but this is the source here. So this is how we would go to the next century. So the end of the century, 19, and the beginning of the 20th. Always you have to remind yourself, and you have to see that whatever we say, the end and the beginning of the centuries, there's lots of social changes. We have war ending, war beginnings, and somewhere there in between, we have many styles developing. And it's not only in costumes, it's in architecture, it's in industry, it's everywhere. So, of course, this is a more modern interpretation, but it has all the elements of before and all the elements that are coming. That's why it's here for you. So these are about, let's say, 30 years in between, lingering. Sometimes are changing and sometimes are beginning. And here it's the first time that, especially in France, we have all these amazing posters about theater performances, dancing, and maybe it's the first time that they actually expressed characters and dances through theater. And another wonderful play of last year, it's New York or New Orleans. I will say that. So anyway, this designer, Paul Tazewell, the costumes for this musical, and you might see 2 or 3 different eras here. It's an amazing theater play to research. You can see here a bit all the military outfits. And this is how we enter the century. So what is more characteristic of these styles of the men? I have the men first for a while. So the top hats, their coats, the form of their coats, which in Greek we say the cut is like a renticoat, which is a French word, but it's fitted around the waist. And there's many seams at the back to have it fitted so nicely. And the pants are long. This is maybe, this in the middle is the most elegant pants in the history of men. They would never think about it. I've used it in theater many times, high-waisted, quite flared on the top, thinner on the bottom, but people look amazing. And along with the top hats and the attitude and keeping our head really high, we have many colors. We have the color of the shirt. We have a color of the vest. We might have 2 colors on a vest. We have double-breasted vests. And you see here also, and we always have this flottin, it's a French word again, this scarf around our neck here. It looks like a turtleneck, of course, but it's everywhere. It might be outside the cuff. It could be inside. It could be just covering the hole. And as you see here, the coats and the capes and everything, these are styles that women are more lucky in fashion. In the next century, they have used all these forms in coats, jackets, they still do. So really, this is an era we could stay a long time because it's the most elegant of times, and most of these styles have stayed with us until today. So middle century. So if we want to, if we really want to have something very romantic, and it's in a very romantic surrounding also, like all the paintings that were done in nature, in the nature. This is the most iconic film and the most iconic character, Scarlett O'Hara, Gone with the Wind. Of course, this is American South. And maybe it's the place where the skirts were the wider, and you will see lots of flower prints everywhere. And if we wanted to know which is this wonderful wider skirt and how many people did it take so you could wear it, it's this one. Of all ages, mid-century here, this is the largest crinoline. And you can see how it is worn. Many designers, like Gautier in the later century, this is something we would see many times in the theater. I've used it a lot, and I love it so much that I don't want to hide it under skirts, and I keep showing it. So I'll have characters coming out like this, but I can see this outer shell. It's a bit like an armory. I mean, nobody could get close if you think about it. It's a social thing. And it's funny how elegant and thin, and the shape is tighter at the beginning and the end. I think this is one of my favorite and most detailed romantic paintings in Paris. The detail is so amazing, you would think it's a picture. Pictures are coming, material is going to be much larger regarding especially the costumes. But you see a whole city, you see the people around, and this is how the century ends. So this, let's say the third part, I usually, 19th century, I would say it's divided in three parts. The beginning, the neoclassical era, the end, which is the Victorian era, the Belle Epoque has started, and then in between, the widest romantic skirt of all times. So this is the ending. And you can see now that depending on the costumes, if the topper, all these last years, for the first time, we didn't have it until now, all the volume and all the fabric and all the decoration is put at the back. So here we have a huge basket of the skirt, but here we only have reinforcement, let's say, at the back. It's like a chair sometimes. And all the front is quite simple. So, very characteristic of the times. Some patterns are here and there, but we will go into that in detail in next classes. So what I showed you, sorry, what you're seeing here actually is what you're seeing here in color. Really tight corset, you can understand that. All the volume at the back, here and here also, even here that the skirt is only one piece. Here, usually, this is a style of the turn of the century. And in theater plays, it's always the style of Chekhov plays. Turn of the century. Let's just have a little look at the skirt, because this is the most amazing part of the costume. Even all her buttons are at the back, but look at it.
So beautiful.
Very beautiful. The only thing is, I think they were sweeping the roads also. So if you think how we started, I mean, we had volume on the sides, we had volume all around, we had volume in the sleeves. And now it's the first time that we have it only at the skirt and only at the back part. One interesting thing that I read many times, because as you can understand, how would they dry clean the clothes then? They didn't. And they always had this part that was longer. So if they walked too much, they said that under here, they had something that resembled, let's say, I don't know exactly how it was, but it resembled like a brush, like a piece of wood, one or two, like a brush. So when she walked, it would keep the, let's say, it would keep the bottom of the skirt a bit higher than the level and all the mud that was there. I don't know if it worked well or it kept all the dust coming out, but they tried. They tried. So an overview. This is not far away from us at all. These are styles now that we know, and the men kept them until today many times. How many jackets and coat? This is the point, starting point for all the wonderful contemporary jackets that we know now. They're not made like this anymore, maybe in theater when we're searching for it, and we can still find such costumes. Theaters use it a lot, as you know. And you see that there were, most of them, the pattern was without just one color. But we have some small squares, we have some here, we have some stripes. And for me, most of them were black for the men, or dark colors. For me, this black and white picture is the best representation that could happen. So here we are. All of a sudden, first time, see how it's different? I have a picture for you. So from now on, we will have pictures of everything. So we are documenting much better. We can see theaters. We can see actual films of the times. And here you can see wonderful, wonderful jackets. So, and you see, also you see the little small elements here. Usually they have a pocket watch, the men. This is an accessory of the times, and they always have their hats. A painting. Much more leisured, like a picnic. They're not dressed for a picnic, but you can see the fruit. But this is very characteristic of the times, the colors, the era, the feeling. This is a painting with such strong feeling that you could make many interpretations of it. So from the time that these skirts were like this, and from these times, you will maybe for the first time also see women having top and bottom. Until now, there were dresses, but now we have blouses and we have kind of jackets, and the skirt goes along. The man and his watch is here. Please give me 1 second. I need to, 1 second. Sorry. Great. Trying to see something here. I need to take a note. 1 second. Okay, great. Moving. And a very important point in time. Very important person with specific aesthetics. And slowly here through the act of dance and the way that Isadora Duncan wanted to express herself and wanted to be as close to the body and feel as free as possible. This is maybe the first time we have an interpretation and we see and we have something totally different on stage. And what would better for her, express this feeling than ancient Greek costumes. There are not many representations and images more of Isadora Duncan. There's some films going around, but this is how she thought and how she perceived. And this is a different fabric. This is more close to a natural fabric, so it looks like an ancient Greek costume. This so much is even more free. But you see now how the way she wants to express her theater, her dance, is through totally different costumes than what they had in mind until then. And this is the beginning of the century. Here, the Chekhov costumes, as I say, here we start. We'll have to make a special timeline for theater. So you see here, whenever there's a war, then we have the roaring times, as you know, just before the next war. So here is a very important personality, as you know, Coco Chanel. Here, this is the body of the woman that should be represented like this. No corset, no nothing. It will be disguised after that. But from these figures, look at these figures. To this one, you could sense the freedom, I hope. So oh, sorry. I'm pressing buttons that I don't want to press. Very nice. So this hourglass shape that is so uncomfortable has inspired so many people in our modern world and has been used in theater, everywhere as an aesthetic, in art. And look how this is. Think about this, that it's totally free. Even the legs only here, right? This is like one shiny moment here, not here and not there. In paintings, turn of the century in paintings. All most of the volume is here behind, you see? And this is an image of freedom here. From the next class, we will work in close correlation of what a character feels and which era we would connect to them. And of course, in which environment. But this is what, if I just kept on analyzing, I mean, you can see the difference from here to there, the way they are set, the colors, the dark colors here. Because until now, we have actresses, we have actors, we have plays, but it's not the same yet. They're wearing their contemporary clothing in order to express different things. Sometimes when you watch a film, and there's a theater scene in there, usually an opera. In many era films, if you think about it, there are operas. And then sometimes, if maybe it's a comedy, let's say, and they want one character to be a bit funny or something, all of a sudden, they mix some styles. They put, I don't know, Baroque together with ancient Rome, and they come up with very strange costumes, just trying to show you that, this character is a bit funny, is a bit from another era. But from this century on, we will have to talk about plays and directors and stage design and costume design. Another dreamy era portrayed a lot in films, in theater, in characters. It's the year Europe went traveling everywhere and brought things back. And you can see how we are totally out of context of, let's say, contemporary dress at the times, or using elements, patterns, fabrics, feathers, where we want them, or in theater, of course. And now, we will need to discuss this a bit. Please pay some attention with the questions, because this will be a small assignment. It can be larger or smaller, depending to what you want to research. And great. Okay. So hopefully you all know Salvador Dali. And Surrealism is an era to be inspired by the 20th century. Maybe you have never heard of a woman, exceptional painter. We found her in a museum like 20 years ago, before internet and everything, 25, I don't know. Sorry, yes, almost 30, I would say. A special exhibition in Washington, D.C., 1996. There's a women's museum. So there was a special exhibition about her, Remedios Varo. She died quite young, but she gave us amazing paintings. You will need to see for yourself, because really I don't want to just show you everything. So all her paintings, they tell a story. Her characters are amazingly dressed. This is one of her most simple, I would say. And I will just go on to the next slide to show you. And this is from a ballet, and it's 1939, before the war, imagine. And the costumes were made by Salvador Dali. The Dali Museum, even now, is something amazing. You have to see about it. I think all his work and her work also could not be more contemporary. We could put them in various, let's say, little boxes to describe them, but they won't fit. So the assignment doesn't have to be for next week. Okay, next week we're doing other things. If there are some assignments, we can discuss them also if you want. We can show them, I mean, but it could be for the next weeks, like in the next weeks, because we have another class, then you have another class with someone else, and then I will see you again, I think in 3 weeks. So, I mean, you can have the time. So what do we want to do? Moving. So, I have given you 2 different artists who are in the same era. Dalit did costumes for theater and for films, did interiors, as you know. He was an artist that expressed himself in many, many ways. Remedios Varo, mostly from her paintings, but each of her characters, she's telling story just with a character. I mean, look at just this character here. So she's like weaving some kind of wool in order to bring something out from a maze, and birds are coming out. Deleted everything, yeah. Pano, you are right. You have to go to the museum. I was there just before COVID, and I was there by chance because it's in Spain, La Figueres. I was near
Mika,
Girona.
you have to
And
know that I had my tickets and I fell into COVID and
I
I
went
couldn't
19 just
go.
before. Oh my God.
And then I wanted to go again and I had COVID again.
Ahora, great. Okay, you should try. Third time might succeed. It's not a very large museum. It's very near to, it's an hour from Madrid. And I was in Girona for something totally different. And I have to tell you, I had no idea, I had no time. And I was so lucky, an architect friend, she passed, I saw her in the street, I don't remember. And I said, oh, I'm going there to Girona. She says, oh my God, you have to go to the Dalí Museum. And I was lucky because it was the 1st of May, and it was like the only day we could go like directly from the airport to the museum. And we had to wait 4 hours because there were so many people that they would give you tickets every hour, every 2 hours, 4 hours. So I was lucky also to that. But this is a trip for someone in this business that we should do. We will see more things of the surrealistic era. So see, what is for me in this image, from this performance, what is amazing is that there are parts of costumes. Of course, it's dance, okay? It's not theater, but there's parts that are actually, you know, we cannot see the face or the head the way they sit. Not even here, it's the back a bit, or it's dark. So you have to think about, let me go back to what I wrote for you. Great. So what do I want? I need you always, when researching for me, please, I need you to find things that you like, first of all. So you decide to find 2 or 5 characters from each artist. Characters meaning from a painting, from some of their work. So are they characters? Are they people? Are they other beings? Are they animals? I don't know. Doesn't mean they're characters. So with very few words, okay? 2, 3, 4, 5 words. Describe them. So you need to describe them with some adjectives. So we need some words to say how they look, okay? This person looks tall, or colors, or what is their appearance, what we see actually, the practical matters. And then the more philosophical matters is how would we describe? We need some attributes, okay? Does this character seem how? Scary, serious, funny. You need to invent. There's no right and wrong here. So you need to invent what you're saying about these characters. They're very specific. You can read about them if you like, depending. And then when I mean place them, you either describe me, you tell me a short story, and you put some images too. So you have to, this is for each artist, okay? We don't mix them. A fictional situation or a story. So I'll go back. For Remedios, it's much easier. Each of her paintings tell a story. So here we could all make a story looking at this. I mean, I'm going to describe a bit because it's not very clear. So what do we see? We see two walls, okay? We see a fireplace, but this is like a window. We see the sky. There's no roof. This is outside. What do we see here? We see poison ivy. I mean, climbing in the walls. It's surrealism, okay? So again, we're like, okay, we're in a living room, question mark. We have a chair here. We have some sofas here. Also, the crazy thing is this looks a bit dark, but behind these curtains, like the wind is blowing, it looks quite light here. And where is she? She's in like a garden, like a bed of flowers here. You see? Like a pool of flowers. It's like all of a sudden in the middle of the living room. And she's sitting, and how would we associate such a character if they're holding, you know, a ball of wool or thread? So the symbols are so many. I mean, we could start with Greek mythology and talk about the Minotavros, or we could simply talk about somebody being lost, and this looks like a maze. I mean, the perspective is being lost somewhere in here. And now this person, I have to leave this to you, whoever he is. But this is another world for sure, because birds are coming out. So this is an easier story to tell for this artist. But you can find other paintings of Dali. Where was I? There we are. So I need a story. I told you a simple story, and I've never told it before. It's the first time I use this exercise specifically here, and it's the first time I have this painting. So I just made up a story for you. And some people told me you're good, you like it with sketches. Others, you can just collage, you can just find an image and, you know, write a sentence. Or you can just present the photos. And then there's many things. You're always free with these small exercises. Would you like to tell the story and then, you know, have these characters in the same artist environment? Or do you want to put another environment at the back? Or do you want to have characters from, let's say, one artist and then put it in the background of another artist? I'm just putting too many things on the table here. So remove a bit. You just have to think about that. And I have the link here for you because I'll send you all this. But I would like, give me 1 second. Just 1 second, please. Okay, great. So I'm going to stop the share and then try to share again to see. This is a wonderful 2.5 minutes film, which is very surrealistic. I don't know if I have a question here. Yes, okay, in English. Yeah, you could do it in Greek. I have no problem. As long as I understand the language, I have no problem. So, I'm gonna stop the share. Let's see. And I'm gonna do it again. And let's see if I have it here. No. 1 second. You cannot minimize. I'm not minimizing. I'm getting out of here. Let's see. 1 second. Okay, it's here. Okay. No, it should show it. So, okay, I know what I'm doing wrong. 1 second. We will manage. One time. Finally. Sorry. So can you see here?
Μίκα, βλέπουμε τη σελίδα του Zoom, του δικού σου.
Τη σελίδα του Zoom. Δεν βλέπουμε το αναμνήσια. Όχι.
Όχι.
Όχι. Okay. Let's close the other ones. I'm on YouTube, but okay. Stop the share. One more time. Here.
Τώρα φαίνεται, απλά δεν είναι full screen αυτό μόνο.
Okay, okay. I will do that. So let's see. Then in a full screen. It should be full screen now.
Ναι, ναι.
Okay, wonderful. It's based mostly on Magritte, the artist Magritte. But see how it's using. This is one of the most interesting. It's telling stories with characters. Let's see what's here. So there's elements from Dali that freely used. Their people were flying before, now they're coming upwards. Anything is possible. You have to think about that. That was it. Very nice and very aesthetic. And whoever made it had a pretty, I need to get out of here. Sorry. This is, move to something else. No, this is something else. It's going to show us all the surrealistic films one after the other. Sorry, we need to close this. Managed. Great. So the assignments come to my mail always. The mail I send you with reminders and everything. You just mail me and I see it. So you can write, theater costume workshop on top so I can see it, but I have them all together.
Sorry for interrupting. There are some questions in the chat.
Yeah, I will. I'm just gonna say that. Sorry, I'm gonna. Okay, better. I was a bit close. Okay, we will go to the chat. So, the one question from some of the Greek people here. Yes, please. If you want to do it in Greek, I have no problem with that. There is no problem for me, as long the others, I don't understand the other languages, so I can't help you. So either English or Greek. Now, let's go to the. Oh, we've got the chat. Very nice. Okay, yes. Yeah, I think those was Remedios Salvador. Somebody asked Catherine, Salvador Dani and Remedios Varo, meaning the other artist. It's all. I will send you the presentation. So all this is written. So don't have a problem with that. Later tonight, I will send the presentation. So it's these two characters here. 1 second. New message. Okay. So I would like you to think of other questions that you might have, and you don't start asking me like in a week. If you have any other, I mean, you could ask me next week also, but if there are any other questions that are coming to mind for something like this, I'm going to try and go back to here. Okay, are you seeing again the presentation?
Yes.
Ora. Okay, the artists are these. Salvador Dali, the same time about, she was a bit after. And Remedios Varo, okay? She's much more easier to create stories. He's more amazing with the costumes also, but she's very, very particular. I mean, you have to a little bit understand the surroundings. This is a very good exercise for your trying to understand surroundings in stage design also. Because in theater, we use a lot of make-believe. So many times we need, because she's here, Remedios Varo is clearly expressing something of her really deep inner self. So, of course, it's the era of surrealism, but we're having walls and inside interiors that are totally exposed to outside exteriors. I mean, think of that. Another question, an email. No, my email comes with the, do you receive, does everybody receive, 1 second. Does everybody receive the reminders and the links or not? Or do you come from another link? I'm gonna write it again. 1 second. Okay, that's my email. Ah, great. So there, yeah, whoever has the mails, you just answer there, okay? And
I
there.
don't have a question, but I want to say something.
Orea, okay.
I'm so happy that we are doing Remedios Varo. It
Uh-huh.
was unexpected. I didn't expect that.
Where did
Because
you discover her? I mean, that's a question.
MIKA, you know that I discover everything interesting.
Yes, I know.
You remember that. She is one of my, with Frida Kahlo, one of my most cherished and beloved female painters. And it's so sad that throughout the history of not only painting, every single art, um, even if women had a strong artistic voice, they were really toned down by men. And there are so many stories that this happened by force, of course. They didn't want women to go out and show their work broadly. And that's really sad. And I'm really happy that we finally are doing one extremely.
Just now we are in the
Word,
era where women are trying to, you know, present and protect other women, whether it's in the arts or the films or anywhere else.
and this is
But
so happy to be seen.
she
This is
was
so
part of, I think, oh my God, it's like 30 years ago. It was a special exhibition and it was a women's museum. It's called the Women's Museum. And I got the book because then internet didn't exist in the way that we have it here. So we were amazed that we've never heard about her anywhere else. And she was about, and I'm sure there are many others, but at least the thing is she died quite young, I think. So I have a very big book and all her works are in there, but most of her work is on the internet also. So she's very unique. And if I would ever say that, you know, give us an example of imagination, of creativity, of deep thinking, of stories, everything we need in theater and in making costumes, which, as we say always, they're closer to us. I mean, we wear them, we dress other people, and that's why our interest is so much more detailed. So please, this is a chance to find things. I mean, all my presentations are a chance for you to find things. If I could, I would research every film and everything I tell you. I would go, you know, much further in order to examine it. But there's so much more that we have to say. And the 20th century also is a very huge period because costume designers and theater is much more in a broad, let's say, way as we know it today. So, I mean, imagine that if you would have a formal degree, you would need 3 to 4 years. This is crazy, but we're putting here the essence. So this is, anyway, all these artistic movements, especially surrealism. Why? Because our mind is over reality. And theater does that. So please give attention to all this. I mean, this kind of exercise can help in many when we're doing theater. It's over the reality, and in a way, it's showing us in very, I don't know, very explicit ways the reality. So it's not by chance that I had to put these two examples. So if anybody else has a question, you can write it also, please. I mean, and unfortunately, it is true. Okay, here you will research some artists, okay? And you will find, maybe it's easier that you can find specific pictures. I'm sorry to say that for the first assignment, if you haven't seen the film, let's say, or you haven't seen Charlie Chaplin, this could be the fact also, there's no other way to do it. I mean, if you haven't seen the films, try and see some trailers. I don't know. But it's very hard to discuss. Otherwise, I would say, okay, great, now let's read a 1, 2, 3 hour play and start discussing all the characters. I mean, nobody would have read the play until the next week. So the small assignments have this. We ask you to place in the list of cells. We started with 2. Okay. Great. Okay. If you have my mail, then please send me your emails so I can put them again if you receive them from somebody else. But do you have, I'm talking about the chat now, as you can understand. Do you have the first recordings or presentations is the question. Actually, one presentation. This is the second one I will send today. And I will need to do the first part of the recording. So if everybody that you are here received the reminder today, this is the list that I have. If it was forwarded to you, then please send me an email so I can, include. Anything else? But I will ask Panagiotis something, Panos. Did you include Remedios Varo in any project, or was it just part of along with Frida? Because Frida, we include her usually in many projects.
No, I didn't have the chance to do it, but I have included Dali so many times. I have taken inspiration from possibly all of his work. I've seen everything. I have so many books about him, and his forms are so fluid, and his colors, the combinations, are amazing. From Varos, I take inspiration from my own stories. You know, MIKA, that I'm a writer too. You have read so much of my work, and I can just stay there for hours looking at one painting, just trying to understand, put up the threads and try to understand what's happening. And I also include things from my mind.
Yeah, but it's our mind anyway. I'm asking you for stories, all of you right now. I'm just asking observation. There's no other way. We need to observe.
Yes.
I don't know another way.
Yes, and I'm doing this for hours. And Varo it's so emotionally deep, something that I believe many surrealist artists, not all of them, are lacking of. Very deep emotions. She was a woman artist. She had a very different kind of thought on things. And every single painting of hers is so poetic. You can really
True.
create a mini movie out of a painting, like more than half an hour.
That's
And
that's
the
that's exactly
symbolisms
why
and
we're
the
here.
symbolisms and the symbolisms and also the antithesis. She has lots of light and dark, but dark is not actually dark. It means something different every time, and that's amazing
And you should
about her.
all think always the era, okay? We're still between the wars, right? At the beginning and then a little bit. I mean, I don't think we could ever experience, we're experiencing wars on television right now. And I think the closest to war we thought we experienced was COVID times. So we need to put the artists in their environment. So if we are reading about something or we are taking notes, it's because of that. Okay. And something else regarding theater costumes, film, of course, but film, there's too many people working there. I mean, theater costumes, 5, 10, 20 people. Uh, if you are doing only costumes, like we are discussing here, and you're not both costume and stage, you have more the detail of it, but many times you will have an environment around you, maybe that is the same. So here you are called to do what you like with characters, describe them, present them, tell them what they're saying, and then you also have the freedom to put them in a space. Mostly, it's not always that in theater one person will do both. Maybe there will be two. So sometimes the direction, and it's not so much the stage, but it's the direction. So the direction of the director will actually, give you insights of what is going on in some play. But here, at this point, with such an exercise and what we're talking here, you have a freedom. It's a good thing because in here you're artists from many places. So use your own experience, use where you come from in order to create these characters. So this is the idea. I would say that if you have some time to research a little bit, next week we can talk, we can talk from the beginning a little bit about the project and some questions. And if you're doing any kind of thing, you can still show me, I mean, work in progress. You don't have to finish it. You might say, oh, I'm thinking this with that. So if you have some time for it. Otherwise, I think it's a project that we will need to see in about 2 or 3 weeks, okay? I'm getting out of here. Okay, it's stopped. Yes, great. So for today, we have reached the point we want. We don't have anything else. I'm still here for questions and I can stay here if somebody wants to talk. So you can tell me. I uh, I don't know all of you. I've just read what you've written. So I would also be interested if you would like to send me a CV of yours. Some of you I know. Not even all the people in Greece I don't know. So I would like to really that you use your own experience, like your own art, in order to go on with a project like this. And I'm sorry Georgia is not here because I would show her how she went about to do the first exercise because it was quite inspiring. Nice and quiet. Okay. So, okay then. I will see you next week. You can understand that I talk with Panos because we known each other like for 4 years. We had this 1 year in COVID times that we cannot remember.
Now we need to work together, though.
Now we need to work together. So
Yeah.
please, Catherine is writing something. Okay. I think, I don't know, Catherine is asking that she doesn't know where to begin. Catherine, my question would be, what is any of your artistic background? That would be my question. And then you start from there. That's the way to do it. But I'm quite, I would say that for me, and this is a fight I have every year with my students, please research. I mean, everybody's on their phone. Everybody is on social media. Everybody can find films and costumes and things. And I'm saying about something very specific. So if somebody doesn't know where to begin, can they please start there? Because I know 1 out of 2 usually haven't seen some films, or I mean, every year the number that people have seen some films or know some things are less, but still it's there, it's out there, it's on the internet, it's in the books. I mean, what else can we do? We do the same thing, both you and I. There's no other way of doing it. So that would be my answer. You start where you know, where your art meets this art of the costumes in any way, and we go slowly. So if there's nothing else, I thank you. And at some point, please, we will get to know each other a bit better. But anything you want, just send me. I just know a few people from here, and a few people I have actually seen. Yes, this course is supposed to give you a certification in the end. If you're here most of the time, because we take some, we know who's here every time. And then the main project is in the summer. So the main project is there. And I'm still saying that people might make something, people might draw something, people might research something. There's many ways of doing it. So please, you will ask. I mean, whoever wants to actually do something, I will help, even through a computer. I've done practical workshops through a computer. There are students that were taught how to sew, how to make a costume through a computer. So imagine. In all the countries, it's the same, I think. For you, what I have to say is that at some point, until the summer, we will know, you will know better what we're doing here. If you are in Greece, if you are in Athens, at some point, I would say now there's no time, but in September we can meet. So if anybody wants to see close what is going on, and can come with us and work at the theater, I mean, I will have a discussion about that. But we will have a discussion in general how you would work in theater. And I think it's the same everywhere. Just Athens has a lot of theater. I don't know, Catherine, did we meet last year in Kampala? Did you come to the workshop or not? I had a
Yes, I
workshop.
did.
Ah, you did. Okay, great. Nice. I will go to Kigali this year. So if there are any people from here, from Kigali, I will meet them there. Okay, so we will say good night now, and please, let's keep some time for discussion. You must know that discussion is part of the lesson. I mean, it's very important for everybody. You have to know that. So we are done for today. And I think I've said this before, but like, if you are interested in stage design, let's say, and in somehow you have practical knowledge, okay, you're an architect, or you've worked with interior design or something, or you have some idea of the space, then you would be able, if you have the inspiration and you want to do theater stage design. The same goes with fashion and any kind of costume experience. So you might be a fashion student, you might have experience in making costumes, or you have some experience in theory. What does that mean? Mean that you need to specialize it in character analysis. And character, depending in a play, in a film, reading. So this is what we will do here. From the next class, we will start focusing on characters, plays, characters, films, and how we make a costume. So
Finally.
I'm trying. This is what we have to do. I'm answering on a question also, but we will talk more. So just stay with us. Okay, then. This is it for today. I will send you what I need to send you, and I will have the first part of the recording also.
Σε ευχαριστούμε, Μικά.
Ευχαριστώ πολύ. Καλό βράδυ σε όλους. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. I have to...